Hey guys, it's December 10th, Tuesday, 2024. This is a video blog basically regarding my relationship with my dad. So let's get to it. I'd like to talk about my situation with my dad, how I grew up with him and whatnot. So my dad is pretty old school, old tradition, conservative kind of style basically, regarding a lot of things, I would say, if I am correct with that. As I was wrong, that I thought I was a conservative, but I was a liberal apparently. But anyway, so my dad is pretty old school, strict, you know, um, education and all that is important. Kind of like most Asian parents, doctors, lawyers, engineers, those kind of professions, but is open to the profession that I want to get into, librarian. He's totally fine with it, or teacher, anything like that. Even doesn't always have to be lawyers, doctors, and engineers, and those kind of things. But so I like to just talk about my situation with him. He's got a mental illness, my dad, basically. Everything is fine and cool with him. He's very active and not lazy and such. But he's got a mental illness where he gets he when he's angry, he would talk about whatever he's talking about for a very long time, and then lash out in the verbal what he's saying basically. And so it's really freaking annoying when he does that. For example, it happened just now before I came to college here, that he was dropping me off. So he was saying, so he took me to the ECT treatment in Heinz VA, the shock therapy basically for my depression and schizophrenia. And he's been doing that every time because I needed a ride. I couldn't, the doctor said don't get an Uber or anything, you need a ride basically. I don't know how people that don't have parents or that kind of stuff, how they get it done. But anyways, so he drove me to the ECT, and then he has to wait in the waiting area, and this time was like 3 hours or something like that, instead of an hour. I don't know why it took that long. One reason was because I was getting a letter to my professor regarding my treatment of ECT and me being in the mental hospital and whatnot, to excuse me, to give me more time for assignments basically. So anyways, I get my ECT done. I head over to my dad. He's fuming basically. He's like angry and saying, I had to wait this long, there's nothing to do, and so on and so forth, like a child basically. Or not like a child only, but more of just, what do you want me to do about it? Like, why are you getting mad at me? Like, this situation, it happened. It happens and it happened. So it's like, what are you getting mad at me for? Think about the situation. I wanted to say that so bad, but I didn't want to say it because he might get more mad and like lash out at me basically. So the story is continuing of what happened was, he's just like raging at me, like saying, I have to do this, I have to do that for you. You're not a child, and I researched, apparently people with schizophrenia has a hard time taking care of themselves, regarding hygiene and stuff like that. So I have a problem with that. I sometimes don't clean myself every time. I am kind of needing work in that area. So I neglect hygiene. So my dad's like, oh, you stink and you smell, you should be like the homeless people out there with the backpack and sleeping outdoors and stuff. Then I would understand you and stuff like that. All these small little things that aggravates you, that irritates you. He would say these things like nagging and such, like a woman basically. Don't get me wrong, I respect my dad and I love my dad, but man, when he's like this, it pisses the shit out of me, And I'm 35 now. I'm not a kid anymore, So imagine when I was a kid, especially, I really had no voice, no power, anything. against my abusive father regarding that verbal abuse, that is, when he's like that, that is. So what else is there? He's like that, and then so like he says this. He's like, you know, what do you say? He says something. So he has a gun basically. He owns a gun basically, a shooting gun, and like in the gun range and whatnot. So he for some reason got a gun basically, and he owns one, a pistol, a Glock, I think. And so he's like, if you wanna, die basically. I forgot what he exactly said, but he said, if you wanna die, I have a gun. You can do it, just freaking do it and kill yourself. So I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about, I never said I wanted to kill myself, and what is he saying, like, if I had a son who was a schizophrenic and also talked about mind control, gang stalking with evidence, literally, even if I didn't believe that in his gang stalking and being a TI stuff, if I were not to for some weird reason, when doctors and federal agents talk about it and say it's true, and it's a global thing, when there's so many people all around the world that knows and deals with this kind of stuff, which therefore shows that it's true, obviously, when there's that many people saying the same stuff regarding gang stalking and whatnot, what the fuck is this? I feel something weird in my ears. What was that just now? Holy crap, that was weird. I felt like something, whoa, that was crazy. That scared me a little bit. What just happened was like beeping noise through my ears. What was that? That was electronic weaponry. The voice of God said, "I'm free." When that happened, it hurts my ears a little bit. Holy crap! So, anyways, it's not that hard to believe, and the fact that there's that many people all around the world, not just the U.S. or whatever, like Russia, China, Japan, Korea, Africa, whatever, whatever nations, England, Spain, whatever, Italy, etc. All these nations, there are people that talk about mind control, gang stalking, So with that many people all around the world saying the same kind of stuff, that shows that something is going on, Either it's literally true or, I don't know what other explanation, honestly, besides it being true. So anyways, what else was I talking about? Yeah, so if I had a son and he was schizophrenic and he says gang stalking, I would believe it, first of all, Where else would those movie, ideas come from that are action flicks and whatnot, when the cops are at them and stuff like that, and Truman Show and so on and so forth. It's all real, based off of real life. And so I would hear my son out or my daughter out, whichever, if I had a child, and I research on my own and be like, oh my God, it's true, Other people are saying it as well, and it's a legitimate thing. And the fact that is what? It's an AI generation with technology so advanced and robots and stuff with Elon Musk now. And what else is there? AI generation and like something that they insert into pigs to like control their thoughts and whatnot. That's been being tested and whatever. And then there's Dr. John Hall with guinea pigs, regarding guinea pigs being us TIs basically, and so on. There's so many things that talk about this thing and stuff, So I'd be like, holy crap, my son is a TI, and then seeing that my family, so many horrible things have happened in my blood family. So I'd be like, wow, it's literally true, the stuff going on, and I would support my son all the way. And in times of crisis like this, I'd try to not, blow off steam, even no matter how angry I may be in a situation or frustrated, for waiting for 3 hours for my son to get therapy and whatnot, etc. Like, I try to work together and try to figure things out and be calm and collective. That's just the way you need to be in times like that, right? It's just my opinion. So That's just my opinion. It's facts, I think. But anyways, so all these kind of things. My dad just when he talks, when he's like, what is it called? When a parent talks to you for like a forever basically, and then tries to correct you or say some stuff about you basically, whatever the word is called. When he does that, he will talk forever, literally forever. He doesn't stop. He doesn't stop. He just keeps on going, and then either you have a legitimate like rebuttal or argument. Sometimes he will hear you out. Other times he would explode literally. So it's like you can't say shit. You can't say anything, and you just keep on taking his verbal abuse. He's like, oh, you shouldn't have ever called me. You should have been in Virginia, just been homeless or been in a mental hospital or in jail, locked up, and whatnot, and raising your dog and poop smell everywhere and whatever, all that kind of bullshit, He was saying that, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, man, seriously, you need to stop being like this. You need to like think for yourself a little bit and be more caring, more caring and more thoughtful, honestly. Like, seriously, he's the one that told me to live with him, basically. And then now I live with him and he's like this, it's just so stupid, basically, It's just so frustrating. Everything there's like nothing to bring to the table kind of thing of anger or whatever, or like corrections basically. And then he will bring like the smallest things that are literally has no point of any argument wise or anything, and he will just constantly talk about it over and over, and it just drives you fucking insane. Excuse my language, but so I got out of the ECT. He's like fuming and like raging basically. He's like, oh, I had to wait 3 hours for you to be done with your ECT. I have to keep on driving you and everything, and you smell from not showering and washing, and your blanket and everything smells and whatnot. I have to keep telling you these things instead of you just doing it, and you're not a kid, you're 35 years old, this and that. So he has some points, right? I understand somewhat what he's saying. But you don't have to keep on nagging me and keep on fucking saying these things over and over. I heard you the first time, Dad, If you just say it one time, I understand. I'm not an idiot, And if you actually research and actually do a simple Google search or a ChatGPT that you utilize, if you type it in, I'm pretty fucking sure that, if you're schizophrenic, us schizophrenics have a hard time taking care of ourselves, especially with hygiene. That's what it said. And like clothes, we're wearing new clothes and whatnot, That's one reason why my date back in New York City ditched me, basically. She's like, oh, you wear the same clothes and blah, 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 blah. Like, whatever, So anyways, that was kind of off topic in a sense. But anyways, what else was I trying to talk about? There's some more pointers that I wanted to talk about and kind of share with the audience and my subscribers and the world, basically, what kind of upbringing I was raised by my dad, like how and whatnot. It's been hell at times, all right. Like oh yes, in a hospital, mental hospital that was involuntarily sent in South Korea called Glory Hospital. This one kid that does TKD, Taekwondo, I was asking him, why are you here? What's your reason? And then he's like, oh, I kicked my dad. I'm like, what? Like, that's like hard for me to understand. Like, how do you hit your parents, But somewhat understandable because sometimes the parents sometimes cross the line way over, right? So sometimes you gotta put them in their place a little bit, if that kind of makes sense or whatnot, And so I'm like, holy crap, I went through all kinds of fucking hell with my dad, and I never laid my hands on him, I wish I did sometimes, you know? Like in South Korea, I exploded. He's like, oh, you gotta go to the mental hospital, blah, 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 and whatever, you know? So I kind of like lost it and fucking raged at him on the phone for the first time in my life. And so, like, you know, like, I felt horrible after because that's like, you know, disrespectful, I guess, you know, somewhat, but also understandable. Depends, you know. But in my situation, I think what I did was totally understandable, you know. He just kept on going, you know. I just couldn't deal with it, and my PTSD and my schizophrenia was, you know, really bad that time. And so, anyways, yeah. What else was I trying to talk about? Oh yes, in the car as well. So I told him to bring my phone charger, right? And then he's like, okay. And then I said, all right. So I said, did you bring it? I asked him like a few times. He said yes. So I said, is it in the backpack? In my backpack, you know? And he started raging. He's like, why the fuck and this and that and blah blah blah. You asking, you could just check it yourself and all this and that. Like, I'm like, jeez. Like, over the smallest things, he's like raging and bringing, you know, to the surface. You know what I mean? Like, I hate when my dad's like that. It really pisses me off. Like, I asked you a very simple thing. You know, if you brought the charger and put it in my backpack, you know, it's just a yes or a no. You don't have to flip over that, you know? Flip out over that, I meant. It's like small little things because he's miserable for waiting 3 hours for the ECT treatment to be over, that any little thing that, you know, he wants to get mad at, he will, you know, get mad at basically. And it's totally unfair in this, you know, situation between the relationship between him and I, you know? Like, I have no voice or anything, you know, when he's like that, because he blows off, you know, when I say anything basically. So it's like I have to shut my mouth and just be like whatever, you know, and just ignore it and just agree with whatever he's saying basically, to just, you know, let him cool down a little bit, I guess. It's just that unfair, you know. I could rage at him and all that and this and whatever, but you know, I don't, you know, and I'm not used to that anyways. But I don't know, what do you guys think? I doubt that I'm gonna get many comments or anything on this video at the moment, due to my me being new to YouTube and whatnot. But what do you guys think between my relationship between my dad and me? Like, when the parent is, you know, crossing the line, and constantly when you're not in the wrong and when you're in the right, they keep on getting at you. Do you talk back and say what you gotta say, or do you ignore the situation and just say whatever and just move on? What is the best situation? I'm gonna ask my therapist about this too, actually, because this has been going on for years with my dad, and it's just unhealthy and it's just not good, you know. And I don't want to deal with this kind of garbage when I'm already 35 years old, you know, this age and everything. What else was there? So the car charger, the ECT 3-hour treatment, weight and anger, whatever, you know, frustration, smell because I don't wash or whatever nonsense that well. Homelessness, jail, mental hospital. If I were in Virginia, apparently, which is obviously not true. Could have been in the mental hospital if I ran out of money, because there's to have, you know, a place to stay for the time being. You know, I would most likely be in a homeless shelter, obviously, instead of a mental hospital if I wasn't in a crisis. But anyways, what else is there? I think I covered it all basically. I can't really think at the moment. What else is there with my dad that happened today? It was a long talk. I remember the other time. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember the other time he gave me membership to what is it called? What is that gym called? The gym is called I forgot what the gym is called, but you know, weightlifting gym and whatever, treadmills and all that, right? Whatever the gym is called. But so he gives me a membership. I never requested this. I never asked for membership for a gym, you know. He's the one that gave it to me, you know. And then he asked me one day, he's like, "Are you going to the gym?" And I'm like, "Not really." And then he started like raging and talking forever again. Like, first of all, I never asked to go to the gym, you know? So why are you getting mad that I didn't go to the gym or whatever? You know, and if you truly wanted me to go to the gym and work out and lose this belly or whatever that he always talks about, all you have to do is talk to me like a normal civilized person, you know? Then I will hear you out and I will see that, okay, you know, he wants me to go to the gym and it's good for me and so on. I would know all these things, obviously, and then I would actually go. But he just doesn't stop talking about, like, gets angry and keeps on talking, basically. So when that happened a while back, and he was complaining so long, literally. It was so tiring. That happened another time. What else was there? What other time was there? There's a few more. There's a few more, but this mind control crap is not making me remember for some reason. What other situations that I have with my dad? I'm trying to remember. What was there? Holy crap, I can't remember for some reason. I could like literally feel the mind control like making my brain like stuck feel. I can't like think at all right now and remember. What other times were there with me and my father, my dad? Oh yes, this is another time. So I would utilize the backyard to smoke cigarettes when I used to smoke cigarettes that I quit now, or like pee outside basically when there's people in the bathroom. So when I went outside, there's like a net that that covers or blocks the outdoors basically from entering to the house basically, if that makes sense. A net kind of door, that you can slide, and then it covers the open area basically, and so I tried to move that, and then to close it basically, and then it just it just like comes off the door, and then it's like in the AM. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna forget about it and then just try to figure it out in the morning like a normal fucking person, right? And then I fall asleep basically, and having the door wide open basically, without the door closing anything, and I didn't really think that bugs will get in, And so I wake up to him like raging once again, angry, and he's like, all these mosquitoes and this and this and this and that and blah 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 blah, right? Like talking about how all these mosquitoes came in and bit him and whatnot, and he would constantly talk about it again, and say, yeah, I need to know what this mental illness is, where the person gets angry and they just don't stop talking, I'm sure there's a term for it, but that's what my dad has, and I need to figure out what it's called so I can figure out a way to, resolve the situation. But anyways, the mosquitoes, and he's like mad at me, like, how do you not think and this and that and blah blah blah, if you have the door open, the mosquitoes would come in and whatnot, So I'm like thinking in my head, like, stuff happens sometimes. It's not like I did these things intentionally, And like if you can stop being so mad and talking forever like this, we'll be truly grateful. But also like what do you want me to do about that situation? I mean, yes, I could have closed it somehow. But I was afraid I might have broken the door, basically, if I try to, slide it in or whatever, So I was trying to wait for the morning, and then obviously he's the one that wakes up and sees it, So it's not my fault that happened. And then it'd be so grateful if my dad gets his mental illness checked out, and then knows how to handle it with a therapist. And then not only that, come with a teamwork kind of mentality instead of getting mad and constantly talking about it, kind of thing. Like, for example, oh, I see, it happens, son, that this broke. It's not like you intentionally, obviously, did not do that. Let's try to fix this. And next time, try to get the doors closed or wake me up so that way, I can fix it on the spot, basically, or whatever. Even he couldn't fix it right away. And then, that's what I remember. And then, eventually, he fixed it. But anyways, that's another time that happened with him talking forever. In Korea, in Gangnam, when I had an apartment with my puppy and kitten and whatnot, he appears and he's like talking about sending me to the mental hospital. I'm like, the fuck is he doing, And then he basically tells me to go to the mental hospital, and he calls the Korean cops on me, saying that I don't take my medication. And then I'm like, and then I obviously lie and say I do take my medicine, because I don't got time to deal with this bullshit, right? So and then he sees me. He comes with my uncle pastor to Gangnam to find me, and then I'm like, I don't want to see him. I don't want to deal with him. I've had enough of this bullshit, And then he's literally following me, chasing after me, He says he want to talk to me or something, and I don't want to talk to him, I don't want to see his fucking face. I don't want to deal with him at all. I've had enough of this bullshit. I'm dealing with enough gang-stalking garbage, organized stalking, terrorism, and all this mind-hacking fucking nonsense, I don't want to deal with my dad on top of that, And then he just doesn't stop. He chases me to Starbucks in Korea, and then I tell the fucking worker, I'm like, can you call the cops because this guy is harassing me? The worker doesn't do shit. He just works, doesn't really care to call the cops or do anything for me, I thought they would normally call the cops if somebody's harassing somebody, right? But anyways, that's another scenario that happened with my dad. Well, what other times? There's so many times. It's just ridiculous stuff over the tiniest, things that you can resolve, over a little bit of thinking and whatnot, What other times with my awesome father there, my awesome sarcastic, non-sarcastic father there. Just constant. It just doesn't stop. It drives you insane, Um, what other time was there? So I kind of understand this old school kind of mentality a little bit. For example, him getting mad at me for me joining the army kind of thing. Like, he's like, why the hell would you join the army? You know how difficult it is and whatnot. Yes, he's correct with that. All right. When I joined when I had the experience, it was indeed hard. It was difficult. All right, but but and then he's like, you should if you were gonna join the military, you should have joined the Air Force or whatnot. And he just keeps on going and whatnot and telling me these things. So I understand where he's coming from in some of these situations, like the military thing. But I just wish he would just kind of like be more, be more kind, and actually say in a kind manner, like, hey son, if you join the army, it's really difficult, and from your health, you're weighing 100 pounds, 5'8", kind of skinniness and whatnot, and depression and anxiety that you told me about, and suicide ideation and all these things, I really do think that you should think it over, and that you should not join the military, period, basically. Then I'd be like, as much as I was desperate and wanted to fix my life and change my life, from all this stuff that I was going through back then, 10 years ago, I would have thought it through and maybe would have not joined, right? But, or at least felt better about it, instead of him getting mad at me and saying all these things. That's another time that happened. What other, useless things, not useless things too, but more of like pointless, like just constant kind of talking kind of thing. So many times this happened. What other times was there? And like every time he's like, when my sister or brother doesn't answer the phone, so I understand a little bit from where he's coming from. It takes like 5 minutes to answer the phone, and just whatever, right? But my sister sometimes doesn't answer the phone because she's too busy with her work as a PA, physician assistant. And my dad's like, oh, these kids of mine and blah 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 and all this, just horrible basically and whatnot. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff, Like, what do you want me to do about it, I do tell my sister and brother, you guys need to answer dad when he's calling you guys. But like, really, this negativity of his, when I'm dealing with so much already that's on my plate, basically, TI, gang stalking, schizophrenia, college student, no degree, no wife, no kids, no girlfriend, no job, all these kind of things that matters, And so, like, what was I saying? So these negative things I don't want to hear, Like, I had enough where I, exploded so many times due to mind control, gang stalking. Like, I would be raging and yelling out loud and whatnot, and spit all coming out of my mouth due to yelling and raging when, at least a while back. Happened many times. I mean, I got assaulted so many times, had a gun pointed at me, and my mind is red and perverted all the time. Even my faith and religion of Christianity is messed with. Everything basically, everything that a human, that's important to us is being messed and tampered with for 10 plus years. And so you guys gotta understand where I'm coming from. I try to understand my dad's situation as a gutter man, and all that stress and working from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. or something like that, doing gutters. But he's the one who chose that job, Nobody told him to come to the U.S. from Korea, you know, with $100 or whatever in a what do you call it, a newspaper, and sleeping in the streets at first, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Nobody told him to do that. He decided to do that. He wanted the American dream. He wanted a change in his life. So, you know, that's him. That's him that chose that. Me, on the other hand, you know, I never chose schizophrenia. I never chose to be a TI. All this bullshit, you know, that's unfair in my life. Unlike my dad. My dad chose who he chose to be. Me, I didn't choose this life to be like this, you know. At this age of going to community college this late because of suspension wrongfully and so much more. Anyways, this is a long video, kind of. I'm sure there's more to talk about, but I cannot remember it all to mention on this video of mine. I'm trying to remember a few more, possibly, if there are. I'm sure there are. I dealt with this crap for years, honestly. What other stuff is there?
Like yesterday when we were like, and then here was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, my dad's like so negative all the time regarding this. He's like, nobody loves you in the family. Nobody cares about you. They think you're crazy and whatnot. So I'm like, where is he coming with this kind of random stuff from, you know? Like, why is he saying that kind of stuff all of a sudden? Just because I have schizophrenia doesn't mean they find me an outcast, a crazy person, you know? It's a common mental illness these days, at least. Maybe thousands of years ago, it might have been seen differently, much differently, because they didn't, you know, humans didn't know much about schizophrenia. But nowadays, you know, we know what schizophrenia is: delusions and hallucinations and crap like that, you know, voices in your head and whatnot, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So like, there's no reason why my cousins or whatever would, you know, see me that way. And he would say that every fucking time. He's like, oh, you know, nobody loves you in the family, they think you're crazy and blah blah blah. So I'm like, the fuck is he talking about, you know? It just fucking makes no sense, honestly. What else is there? That's a lot so far, honestly. Not to take in, honestly. So this video is not me humiliating my dad, obviously, because that's my dad, you know. I care and love my dad, obviously, but I'm just kind of frustrated. Maybe I should just say this to a therapist and not to the whole wide web of internet, you know. But I don't know. It's not that serious to hide, honestly, if that makes sense. I could get some constructive criticisms or comments, you know, is how I see it. And you guys can know more about my life, of all these frustrations and struggles that I go through on a daily basis, basically. As the blogger, ASM artist, gang stalking, you know, TI, so on and so forth, you know. So I hope this video clarifies, not clarifies, but you guys get some insight between me and my dad's relationship, basically, and how frustrating it is for me dealing with him a lot of times like that, you know. So if you guys know what mental illness that is, where when a person gets mad and they keep on talking and doesn't stop, basically, you know, with like the worst kind of pointers or anything, you know, worthy of, you know, mentioning, basically, make sure you leave a comment so I know what it is and so I can, you know, understand what that is. I'm gonna chat GPT it and Google it, basically, to see if it might show up. But yeah, I'd appreciate it if somebody that knows what kind of mental illness that is with my dad. Alright guys, I'll make more videos later. I need some ideas, so leave a comment what kind of videos you want to see for ASMR or gang stalking or just anything, you know, whatever talking stuff you want me to talk about. I will think it through and maybe make the video of it. So that's it, guys. I hope you understand me cussing, you know. I sometimes, you know, just this torment just doesn't. It's just that what do you call it? Unbearable, basically. That's why I kind of swear, you know, to get the. I learned this from another person in Korea from a church thing. She said, we cuss because we get our shit out of our body, you know. We get our shit, you know, all that stuff that is, you know, building up in your body, and you just spit it out, basically, you know, through the mouth by cussing and stuff. So I don't know. She's somebody that learned, you know, about Christ and all that. So I'm sure she knows something about it. You know, as in like it means something, obviously, instead of some bull crap that she made up, if that makes sense. Alright guys, signing out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe, comment, and like. Alright, thanks. Bye.